The Boeing 747 is the world's largest private jet. With only a handful of examples in the world, it's a rare bird. Known as the Queen of the Skies, the 747 revolutionized air travel when it made its commercial debut in 1970, allowing travelers to globe-trot farther than ever before, and perhaps with more flair than ever before. The 747's dimensions were huge compared to the 707s and Douglas DC-8s that were the mainstay of airlines' international fleets in the 1960s. Even rarer is the Alberto Pinto-designed 747, lavish labor of love that took the designers 4 years to complete. With a focus on natural materials and a soft modern style, the company produced a truly awesome result. With hundreds of passengers arriving and departing on every jumbo jet, airports had to quickly adapt with expanded boarding lounges, check-in counters, and terminals. Every international airline wanted to have the prestige of flying a 747, meaning that existing customs and immigration areas were soon overwhelmed with multiple simultaneous arrivals of the big plane. The 4-engine Boeing 747 was designed to be the safest airliner so far built. Redundancy was in place for systems such as hydraulics, where a backup was available should the main system fail. There were dual control surfaces to enable the continued control of the aircraft should any of the surfaces fail. There were 4 main landing gear bogies, each with 4 wheels. This wasn't only to spread the weight of the aircraft more evenly, but the 747 was capable of landing on 2 opposing bogies if necessary. Everything about the 747 compared to other aircraft in use at the time of its initial launch was on a grand scale. For instance, 147,000 pounds, 66,150 kilograms of high-strength aluminum is used in its construction, 171 miles of wiring along with 5 miles of tubing is used, 6 million parts are used, half of which are fasteners. The 747 jumbo jet would typically land at a speed of about 145 kts to 150 kts, depending on the landing flap setting selected. The greater the flap setting, the lower the takeoff and landing speed. Jumbo jets typically land at flap 25 or 40. Pilots generally fly the approach speed faster than the actual touchdown speed to allow a speed buffer in case of any airspeed fluctuations. Stretching over 250 feet from nose to tail, with 2 levels and passenger capacity for over 400 in airline configuration. Once inside, it's hard to tell that you are on board an airliner and not inside a palatial estate complete with all the trimmings of luxury. The aircraft's interior is divided into ornate suites, staterooms, lounges, dining rooms, passenger seating areas, and bathrooms, a home away from home for a wealthy road warrior. The master bedroom is found in the nose of the aircraft, located directly under the cockpit. Situated at the very front of the fuselage, the nose is the most private section of the aircraft and quietest since it's away from the engines. Also within the suite is a lounge area, complete with a sofa for 2. Aft of the master suite is the main entrance foyer, a grand affair with stunning detailing and a sparkling staircase to the upper deck. Upstairs in the hump is a cozy living room with a large screen TV. Everything is luxuriously appointed with plenty of wood veneer and tasteful decor. Designed as a salon for children, they must be some very lucky children to have access to such a stunning play space. Downstairs and aft from the entrance foyer are what could be taken as the jewel in the crown of this luxurious aircraft. The main lounge has multiple seating areas, bespoke designer pieces, and a Wakapuu wood table with a goatskin top. Within the main lounge, pairs of seats offer a choice of a more intimate conversation or a suitable place for business discussions and work. Further aft, a private office doubles as a formal dining area for up to 4 guests. Ground support equipment had to grow too. Aircraft tugs got a lot bigger to handle the 747's prodigious weight of over 750,000 pounds. Catering trucks were modified to reach the cabin doors far above the ramp, and refueling tankers now had to stretch to reach the underside of the massive wings. The 747 was designed at a time when the airline industry expected the supersonic transport SST for short to be the aircraft of the future. Experts in the 1960s predicted that the 747 would have a short lifetime as a passenger jet, eventually giving way to aircraft traveling at multiple times the speed of sound. So the 747's designers tried to future-proof the jumbo by engineering it to carry cargo. The main deck of the 747 was sized about 20 feet wide to handle 2 standard cargo containers. To make loading easier, the nose of the cargo model of the 747 opened and pivoted upwards. The nose of the aircraft is often reserved for the first-class cabin, with seats 1A and 1B being the most sought after. The suite features minor touches such as personal reading lamps, bedside tables, and walled cup holders for when turbulence hits. Lights throughout the aircraft can also be controlled by small touchscreens embedded in various surfaces. Moving back in the aircraft, another guest bedroom can be found on the jumbo jet with no shortage of space thanks to its long and wide fuselage designed for airlines to carry as many passengers as possible. The 747 needed a huge jump in engine power and efficiency to get the massive plane in the air and make money for the airlines. Pratt & Whitney changed the shape of jet engines forever with their JT90 turbofans for the 747. The engine differed from earlier power plants by having a huge fan at the front. An enormous amount of air is forced into the engine, but only a small portion goes into the engine's core, where it's compressed, mixed with fuel, and ignited to drive the turbine. The internal turbine spins the huge fan, pushing the jet forward. With most of the airflow directed around rather than through the core of the engine, it was the first high-bypass turbofan of the jet age. The design makes the engine quieter, more powerful, and with better fuel efficiency, and instead of the scream of earlier generation jets, the 747 buzzed when it took off. The 747 might have been the first, but now every passenger jet is powered by an incredibly reliable and sophisticated high-bypass turbofan engine. Very few commercial aircraft featuring a shower, with the amenity being a key marketing point for Boeing and Airbus's private jets. According to designer Yves Picard, in an interview with Altitudes magazine, the idea was to give the aircraft a soft modern style. Picard was given carte blanche by the owner, who wasn't interested in gaudy materials and preferred a simple style more like a family home. The owner wasn't looking for anything outrageously luxurious with gold and diamonds, said Picard in the interview. On the contrary, he called for some simplicity, which in the end is indeed the true luxury. In its first year, a fully loaded 747 cut the cost of flying a passenger by half. Flying became instantly more accessible, but maybe the award for the biggest change in air travel should go to the 747's older sibling, the 707. That smooth-flying, jet-powered pioneer was a quantum leap from the piston pounders that preceded it. It connected continents in mere hours and showed the world the power of jet travel. Brian Weigel, the co-pilot on the 747's first flight and Boeing's former vice president of flight operations, certainly thinks so. The shorter flight times, the higher altitudes, the better pressurization, a lot of things we brought out with the 707 were revolutionary, he tells CNN Travel. The 747 furthered that same direction, but you can't ignore what the 707 did. But the 747 was a remarkable airplane and I loved it. Based on Boeing's commercial passenger aircraft, the Boeing Business Jet product line consists of VIP-configured variants of existing aircraft. Each Boeing aircraft currently in production has its own BBJ variant, from the smallest Boeing 737 to the largest 747. While owning any private jet is an indicator of wealth, the 747 is an unmistakable status symbol typically reserved for use by the world's governments and a handful of the highest level of elite. The aircraft has been a success in the Middle East, with countries including Qatar, Kuwait, Turkey, and the United Arab Emirates using the 747 for executive transport for their respective heads of state. While owning any private jet is an indicator of wealth, this 747 is an unmistakable status symbol typically reserved for use by the world's governments and a handful of the highest level of elite. The 747 furthered that same direction, but you can't ignore what the 707 did. But the 747 was a remarkable airplane, and we love it. If you think something about Boeing's 747 private jet should be in the video, let us know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you check out the following videos here